The late afternoon sun beat mercilessly upon the crowded city streets. The vendors' voices rang out, buses honked, and hurried footsteps blurred into a noise Alina could hardly register. Her thin arms ached as she adjusted her grip on Noah, her 2-year-old son, who whimpered softly against her shoulder. His cheeks were flushed from the heat. "Just a little more, baby," she murmured, though her own body trembled from exhaustion. She had skipped meals to save what little money she had for Noah. Her part-time shifts at the diner had dried up the week before. Rent was due tomorrow, and she hadn't the faintest idea how to pay. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, but worse was the dizziness, the haze clouding her eyes with every step. She didn't see the sleek black car turning the corner. The world tilted, a horn blared, then nothing. Adrian Vance's luxury sedan screeched to a halt, tires burning against asphalt. His driver swore, but Adrian had already flung open the door. His sharp eyes, trained to notice every detail in boardrooms and hostile takeovers, locked on the sight before him. A young woman collapsed on the pavement, clutching a child who whimpered weakly. "God!" His normally composed voice cracked. He crouched, gently pried the boy free, then lifted the unconscious woman into his arms. She weighed almost nothing. Her hair was a tangled mess against his suit, her clothes threadbare, but there was something fragile and hauntingly beautiful about her face. "Hospital, now," he barked, sliding back into the car with both of them. As they sped through the city, Adrian's mind wrestled with emotions he hadn't felt in years. Pity, anger, responsibility. He was a man accustomed to boardrooms and billion-dollar deals, not fainting women and starving children. Yet here she was, unconscious in his lap, her child clutching her hand like his entire world depended on her waking. For reasons he couldn't explain, Adrian knew he couldn't simply walk away. When Alina opened her eyes, the antiseptic smell of the hospital filled her nose. White walls, a thin blanket over her, and the soft rise and fall of nose breathing nearby. Her heart lurched. She sat up too fast. "Noah, easy," a deep voice said. She turned, startled. A man stood near the bed. Immaculate suit, shoulders broad, eyes the color of storm clouds. Even before he spoke again, she recognized him. Adrian Vance, the billionaire, the face from magazines, news channels, and whispered conversations about power and fortune. "Your son is safe," he said, stepping aside so she could see Noah asleep in a crib. Relief broke through her panic. She touched her son's hair, then turned back to the man warily. "Why am I here? You fainted, in front of my car," Adrian said matter-of-factly. "If I hadn't stopped," his jaw tightened. "You're lucky." Color rose to her cheeks, though from shame more than gratitude. Of all places to collapse, why in front of a CEO's car? "I'm sorry," she whispered, eyes lowering. "I didn't mean to trouble you. We'll leave." "You're in no condition to leave," Adrian countered. "The doctors said you were severely dehydrated and malnourished. When was the last time you ate?" Her silence was answer enough. He sighed and took something from his pocket, a thick fold of crisp bills. He placed them on the table beside her bed. "Take this. Food, medicine, whatever you need." Her pride flared. "I don't want your money." His brow arched. "You'd rather your child suffer than accept help." Her hand tightened around Noah protectively. "You wouldn't understand." Adrian studied her, fascinated. He was used to people grasping at his wealth, bending over backward to please him. Yet here was a girl with nothing, literally nothing, and she refused him. Fragile, stubborn, proud. Something inside him stirred. "What's your name?" he asked. "Alina," she murmured, reluctant. "And the boy?" "Noah, my son." "Where is his father?" Her chest tightened. "Gone." Adrian said nothing for a long while, but his eyes softened almost imperceptibly as they fell on the sleeping child. Hours later, Alina insisted on leaving the hospital. Adrian offered to have his driver take her home. She wanted to refuse again, but Noah was heavy in her arms, and her body felt like paper ready to tear. Pride gave way to necessity. When the car stopped at the crumbling apartment building she called home, Adrian's jaw clenched. Rust streaked the walls, the stairs sagged, and the stench of garbage clung to the air. "You live here?" he asked, incredulous. "It's all I can afford." She adjusted Noah on her hip and added, "Thank you for the ride. And for helping us." She turned quickly, as though fleeing before he could see her shame. But as she disappeared into the shadows of the stairwell, Adrian felt a strange tug inside him. He told himself it was pity, nothing more. Still, he found himself instructing his driver, Get me everything you can on Alina, quietly. Days passed. Alina tried to forget him. She focused on Noah, on stretching the little food she had, on searching for jobs with a desperation that kept her awake at night. Yet she couldn't forget the stormy eyes of the man who had carried her like she mattered, even for a fleeting moment. Then, one evening, she returned from a failed job interview to find a sleek black car waiting outside her building. Her heart dropped. Adrian stepped out. His presence seemed to quiet the very street. People stared. Whispers followed. "What are you doing here?" Alina demanded, clutching Noah. "I came to see you," he said simply. "You shouldn't. People will talk. Let them." His gaze swept over her tired face, her threadbare dress. Something hardened in his expression. "You can't keep living like this." Her pride bristled. "We survive. Barely. That's not the same as living." Silence stretched. Finally, Adrian said, "I'm offering you a job." Alina blinked. "A job? At my company? As a personal assistant? It pays well, with benefits. You'll have enough for proper housing, food, childcare." Suspicion clouded her eyes. "Why me? You don't even know me." "Because," Adrian said slowly, "I've met thousands of people who smile at me while plotting what they can take. You're the first in years who refused me, even when you needed it most. I trust that." Her throat tightened. Noah tugged at her sleeve, hungry again. The weight of responsibility pressed down like chains. "What's the catch?" she asked softly. "No catch. Just work for me. Let me help you." Alina's pride screamed to refuse. But her son's small hand in hers was louder. She swallowed hard. "Fine." Adrian's lips curved. Not quite a smile, but close. "Good. You start tomorrow." The weeks that followed changed everything. At Vance Industries, Alina worked harder than she ever had. She organized Adrian's schedules, sorted endless files, and learned quickly that he was as demanding in the office as he was intimidating in the world outside. Yet beneath the steel exterior, she glimpsed something few probably saw: patience with her, unexpected kindness toward Noah when he visited, and, though he tried to hide it, a loneliness that echoed her own. One late night, after an exhausting day, Alina found herself alone in his office. Adrian entered quietly, his tie loosened, his gaze tired. "You should go home," he said. "So should you," she replied, surprising even herself. He chuckled. Low, warm, genuine. It transformed him. For a heartbeat, the powerful CEO looked almost human. Their eyes held, something unspoken passing between them. Alina's heart raced, not from fear this time, but from something far more dangerous. Adrian looked away first, clearing his throat. "You've changed this place, you know. Changed me." Alina's breath caught. Perhaps fainting in front of his car had not been an accident after all. Perhaps fate had simply intervened. And as she glanced toward Noah asleep on the couch in the corner of the office, Alina realized for the first time in years that maybe, just maybe, the future could hold more than mere survival. It could hold hope. The city was alive with noise, the honk of horns, the chatter of vendors, the grind of wheels on asphalt. Alina barely noticed. Her arms ached as she carried her 2-year-old son, Noah, his small face pressed against her neck. His feverish warmth worried her, but what terrified her more was the emptiness in her wallet. She had worked 2 shifts back-to-back at the diner the day before, only to be told she wasn't needed anymore. Rent was due tomorrow. Food had already run out. Her vision blurred from hunger, but she pressed forward. Just one more block. Just keep walking. The screech of tires split the air. Alina turned, but too late. The world tilted, Noah slipped from her arms, and darkness swallowed her whole. Adrian Vance swore under his breath as his driver slammed the brakes. The luxury car lurched to a stop inches away from the collapsed woman and her child. "Stay here," Adrian ordered, already throwing open the door. He reached them in seconds. The little boy whimpered, clutching at the unconscious woman's blouse. Adrian crouched, carefully lifting the child first, then the woman. She was alarmingly light, her head falling against his shoulder, her hair brushing his jaw. "Hospital. Now," he barked, sliding into the backseat with them. As the car sped away, Adrian studied her pale face. Her clothes were worn, her body frail. She looked far too young to carry the weight of the world alone, and yet the way the boy clung to her told him she had been doing exactly that. For reasons he couldn't explain, something stirred in him. Alina awoke to the sterile smell of antiseptic and the steady beep of machines. Confusion crashed over her. Then Noah's cry pierced the fog. "Noah," she gasped, trying to sit up. Careful, a deep voice said. She turned, startled. A tall man stood near her bed, his tailored suit out of place against the hospital's plain walls. His sharp, striking face was familiar. Recognition hit her like a jolt. Adrian Vance, billionaire, CEO, the kind of man who lived in a world galaxies away from hers. Your son is fine, Adrian said, stepping aside so she could see Noah, asleep in a crib beside her bed. Relief flooded her. She reached for her boy, brushing his hair gently. Only then did she turn back, wary. Why am I here? You fainted. In front of my car, Adrian explained, his voice calm but edged with something sharper, concern, perhaps. If I hadn't stopped in time, his jaw tightened. Shame burned her cheeks. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause trouble. We'll leave right away. You're not going anywhere, Adrian said firmly. The doctors said you were severely dehydrated. Malnourished, too. He paused. When was the last time you ate? Alina bit her lip, refusing to answer. He studied her in silence, then pulled out his wallet and placed several crisp bills on the table beside her. Take this. Buy food, medicine, whatever you need. Her head snapped up, indignation flaring. I don't want your money. His brows lifted slightly. Pride won't feed your son. Her arms tightened protectively around Noah. You wouldn't understand. Adrian tilted his head, intrigued. People begged him for favors every day, yet this fragile woman, whose ribs he could practically count beneath the hospital gown, refused him. What's your name? He asked. Alina, she murmured reluctantly. And the boy, Noah, my son, where's his father? The question cut like a blade. She looked away. Gone. Adrian didn't push further, but something in his chest shifted as he watched her cradle the child with such fierce protectiveness. He had grown used to people who saw only his money, his power. But this woman, with nothing at all, clung only to her son. For the first time in years, Adrian felt something stir inside him that had nothing to do with business. And he knew, as he rose from his seat, that he wasn't going to let her walk out of his life so easily.